Hey everybody, welcome to some more Tales from the Internet. Drama from somebody, read by a nobody, spoken to everybody. So just sit back, relax, hit the likey button, and enjoy some repartee. This story by Sesh Kababi. Am I the a-hole for cock-blocking my older brother? Obligatory throwaway, on mobile, and happened last week. So I'm a 24-year-old male. I decided on a whim to visit my parents who live 2 hours away. When I showed up, my parents and my brother, 26 male, were prepping to host a dinner party type thing. My parents were glad to see me, but my brother's always been kinda weird, and didn't even acknowledge my presence, but it was chill, and I've gotten used to it. Fast forward a few hours, their guests arrive, and my parents' friends brought their daughter, who looked to be me and my brother's age, who I will call Iris, for the sake of this story, with them. I was minding my own business and feeding my cat an egg when Iris came by to say hi, and she thought it was the coolest thing ever, and we started talking about animals and food, which branched off into a ton of other stuff, and turns out we had a lot in common, so we kept chatting all night. Now this whole time, my brother has not said anything to me or Iris at all, and just watched us from across the dinner table, and as soon as dinner was over, he dipped to his room, while me and Iris played Overcooked. I went upstairs to invite my brother, but his door was locked, and he was ignoring me, so I said screw it, and just played without him. As Iris and co were leaving, we exchanged numbers and made plans while I was still in the area. As soon as the door closed, all hell broke loose. My parents started berating me because turns out they set the whole dinner party thing up to try and get my brother and Iris together, and I apparently fricked the whole thing up. I told them that I had no idea, and my brother has been ignoring me since I got back. My parents told me to lose Iris's number, and if she texted me, I'm not to respond. This is the part where I may be an a-hole. I told my parents to pound sand and that I was going to check into a hotel, and as soon as I was settled in, I was going to text her. I've been talking to Iris, and she told me that her parents don't really talk to my parents as much anymore, so I'm wondering if I fricked something major up. Am I the a-hole here? Now, typical of the internet, this guy's issue is completely overshadowed by the fact he has a cat and is feeding it food. That seems to be on everyone's mind at the moment. Nata, assuming that you aren't a hunk who has a track record of taking girls away from your brother. Otherwise, I would totally fall for the guy feeding an egg to his cat and talking to me, versus the entitled pouty PTA who locked himself in his room because I wasn't handed over to him as agreed to by our respective parental overlords. Hehe, good one. Definitely Nata. Iris isn't an object. She's a person that took interest in you. Also, the way your brother reacted, locking himself in his room, no wonder your parents had to set him up. You seem like a fun person to be around, OP. I definitely relate, and if put in your shoes, I would have done the same thing. If your parents' plans were to set up Iris with your brother, they probably should have said something to you if it was that important. Also, clearly Iris made a choice to talk and hang out with you and not your antisocial brother, and for good reason if he's as standoffish as this post makes him sound. You gave him a chance to join in too. He acted like a petty child. If something is messed up between your parents and hers, that's not your problem in my opinion. Besides, y'all two sound like there could be a good friendship if nothing else, so I say keep texting. But here we have a soft everyone sucks here. Brother sucks. Parents should have told you why the dinner was on. Their lack of communication is a problem. But you almost get the yatar for 3 reasons. 1, your reaction where you tell your parents to pound sand and that you're gonna call her from a hotel. Look, from their angle, you could be about to have a spiteful one-night stand with her. In another context, that would get yatar. You want to see your parents on a whim at 24? I don't believe that at all. Did they invite you? And if so, how did they invite you? When my friends and I were around 24, I'm 36 male, nobody went to their parents' place on a whim. Especially if it meant a 4-hour round trip and staying at a hotel. They have your brother living with them, your cat, and no spare bedroom for guests. If the home has 2 bedrooms, it's fine. Otherwise, there's a problem here. But I don't know you or your family dynamic, so I'll have to let that one slide. Finally, you paint a really one-sided picture of your brother. 26 male, lives with parents, shy or doesn't like you. Maybe he's underconfident, rubbish at flirting, and needs a hand. Maybe he is a total window-licking weirdo. You didn't address the history between you both, you just made him look bad here. he might have a good reason for blanking you that you're unaware of or omitted. But you and her hitting it off shouldn't be a problem in the long run. Most relationships don't work out after all. Plus, feeding a cat an egg's a hell of an icebreaker. Reads like you two have chemistry. But, did she know about the parents trying to set her up with your brother? I don't agree with this comment, but I understand where he's coming from. His brother hasn't been given the best light in this story. But I also think that doesn't apply to this situation specifically. The problem is whether or not you cockblocked him from Iris. To which I say no. Look, she met both of you at the start. And lads, as much as your female friend or the media might tell you, women do actually judge by first impressions and do find physically attractive people attractive. I can bet she totally found you more attractive than him. And I can bet her interest in you didn't spark from seeing you feed the cat. That was just her finding an excuse to engage with you. As someone's already mentioned, she is a human being too. Not some bag of wheat they're delivering to forge some alliance with France. Like, what did the parents also bring 2 oxen and a sack of gold to sweeten the deal? This story by Ash the Nerd. Would I be the a-hole if I told my mum that my stepdad told me he might leave her? My parents have been together for 12.5 years now. They were that couple that had one big fight, maybe once a year. Lately, they've been fighting practically constantly. My mum says it's because Dad is mean, and everything he says to her is mean or demeaning, and it starts many fights between them. My dad isn't a real big talker, at least not about this to me, so I don't know where he stands about why they fight. The reason he said this to me, however, is because of how wildly irresponsible my mum has been lately. My mum, 39 years old, went out to a bar to meet my sister, 22 years old, and came home without her phone, car, purse, keys, just nothing. I'm not even entirely sure how she got to the house, to be entirely honest, and she was so drunk that I walked into the kitchen and said something to her 4 times, and she didn't respond until she tried to pass me and touched me, and then she acted scared like I snuck up on her even though she had looked directly at me more than once. That honestly sounds like more than just alcohol, but let's continue. After this, I was finally able to get her to go to bed. My dad is an early riser and has a tendency to wake me up, which is what happened again. So he asks me if I have her purse. I say no. She came home without it and wouldn't tell me where it was. My mum takes a multitude of medications for a multitude of very viable reasons, but I believe she took them all to the bar with her, including some controlled substances, and we have no idea where they are now. This is also nowhere near the first time she has suddenly just gone out with my older sister and come home drunk like this. It is the first time she's come home without anything she left with, so would I be the a-hole if I told her he might leave her if she doesn't get her act together, and will not act like she's 22 just because my sister is 22? Edit, I should mention he did tell me, after asking about her things, that he might need to leave the relationship and that he's over her irresponsibility. Sorry I left that out. Nata, but you should stay out of this. This is between your parents, not you. It's not your responsibility to tell your mum how to behave. Sorry you're in this situation, OP. This is a fight that doesn't include you. If you have a relationship where you can discuss your mother's behavior and how it affects you, then you should do that. But it wasn't okay for your stepfather to say that to you. He shouldn't be involving you in his relationship with your mum. I think you would be the a-hole. Keep out of it. It sounds like your dad is putting up with a lot from your mum, and your mum is behaving like an acting-out adolescence. Do not get involved in their personal relationship. It will cause you nothing but trouble. Absolutely inappropriate of the father to be bringing the child into the situation like that. But we also have to consider just how low of a point is this relationship where they're having to console the kids about it. It could be a lack of a circle for him to express these feelings to, or it could also just be a lack of maturity in terms of residing to the children for advice. But also, depending on the medication and just how much she's having to take, is it really healthy for her to be having so much alcohol? She's either felt completely insecure about herself as a partner and just as a woman due to her constant fights with her husband, or she was never ready to be a parent to begin with and is trying to retake her glory days. To be fair, as someone who's gone out drinking with their mum in the past, I can vouch for the older sister that it is quite a lot of fun, so... Hey yo, just popping in for a quick sec to remind you all that your engagement and feedback is very important to me. Any personal thoughts or ideas is super appreciated. I do try to read all the comments that I can, even if it's to tell me to commit unlife. I'll give you a heart for that one. Anyway, as you were. This story by Brushier. Am I the a-hole for having a risque anime poster on my wall? I know this kind of sounds like trolling, but I promise it's not. I have a small office space of sorts since I now have to work from home with COVID, and I decorate it with a lot of random stuff. The room used to be a communal room of sorts. Basically, me and my roommate would use it whenever we had anyone over, family, friends, etc., and we wanted some more privacy. With the situation, he agreed that I could use the space as an office since people wouldn't be coming over anymore anyways. As a bit of a gag gift, a friend got me a poster from an anime I liked, but the girl on it is a bit, not safe for work, I guess. It's nothing obvious, but she does have a really big chest and a somewhat revealing outfit. I put it up because, well, I thought it was funny. Roommate's mum ended up popping by on a surprise visit. I got sort of a heads up, so I locked the office and went out. Wasn't thinking about the poster, to be honest, and just didn't really want her messing with my stuff, as, well, she has a habit of cleaning up things that aren't hers. Last time she visited, she literally folded my laundry for me. It was weird. Since she was used to going into said room, she took the liberty to do so, and unlocked it with a spare key without asking. I was out at the time, but apparently she got extremely offended by my choice of decoration. Roommate in return got ticked off at me, and said I should have never put something like that up, and now his mum thought he was rooming with perverts. Was giving him a hard time about it and all that. Look, I didn't really think I was in the wrong. I took the time to try and keep her out. We had agreed the space was mine, at least temporarily, and the poster really isn't that bad, but he's still been giving me the cold shoulder. Look, am I the a-hole? Should I be apologizing to him? I mean, I do feel kind of bad. I know parents like his can be hard to deal with, but I never thought she'd actually go into the office. Nata, I don't know why your roommate is mad at you. You locked the door and y'all agreed that the space is temporarily yours to occupy for work. His mum invaded your privacy. It's just an anime poster. She trippin'. Your roommate trippin'. Yeah, just because your roommate has no boundaries with his mother doesn't mean you don't get to have them. You made a good faith effort to keep her out, and she, a person who feels it appropriate to fold her son's roommate's underwear, opens a locked room to clean, finds a poster of fully clothed character, and is offended. Mom has no right to be mad. Your roommate has no right to be mad. You have every right to be mad, and you are definitely not the a-hole. Now, partly I will agree on the fact that the mother walked into a space that wasn't meant to be hers to walk in on. It was agreed to be your space, you have the right to do with it as you please. The mother's judgments should have no power over you, nor your roommates for that matter. And there's nothing inhumane about finding things attractive, but buddy, come on, don't kid yourself. You are attracted to that thing, you do like the look of it, it is perverted. It's a perverted image. Again, you're allowed to be attracted to things, but don't deny the fact that you find it nice to look at in a perverted way.
But I like the art style, you know, it's got good art design and shading.
Nope, buddy, but you like it because boobies. Just be honest with yourself. Again, it's not a bad thing. What makes it bad is how it affects you in your day-to-day life. This next story by a Sir Gothic Shadow. Am I the a-hole or am I just being a good best friend? So, I'm a male who's 21 years old, and I'm a teetotal. I choose not to do drugs. Always have been, always will be, and I'm strong-willed in that. Now, my best friend, who's a female, 21 years old as well, she is a social drinker, only drinks among friends. And tonight, she went out with friends. She got drunk and let one of the guys there get handsy with her, and she later comes and tells me about it. I hear the story, and she tells me she wants to do a one-night stand with the guy, still buzzed and all drunk, and I'm okay with that, it's her life. But I point out that isn't that the same guy she criticized who has no self-control while drunk and doesn't respect relationships at all, a year or two ago? We proceed to continue to talk, and she tells me she is a nympho, and she craves it, and responds that she gets offended when I call her a hoe in any serious matter, and not out-joking way we always do when I get details of her previous encounters with ex-boyfriends wrong. She admits that she just might be lonely. I remind her that in her own words, she stated before that she wants something real with someone. We proceed to go back and forth for a while, and I tell her to just go to sleep, and we will talk about it in the morning, and proceed to start saving the chat so she can read over it and what she says when she wakes up, and she begs me not to, and I simply respond with, "If you get upset with me saving this, are you sure you really want to do it?" Anyway, feel free to ask for clarification info. Am I being a good best friend or an overprotective a-hole? Bit of both. It's her life, as you pointed out, but sometimes you have to use tough love to bring someone to their senses. On the other hand, I think she's just a horny, #lost, girl that hasn't figured out her life yet. Yet she has to find her way herself, and if jumping in bed with that guy is the way to do it, it's not your place to lecture her. She'll do it either way, because she is horny, and it's disapproved of by you, so it's exciting, probably. Now, quite a few people have gotten iffy about him using the term hoe, so he's had to clarify it. First edit, me and her use the terms hoe and slut as a form of affection. We are both completely okay using it in most situations, and she assured me it was okay using those names even when I had my own reservations about it. Second edit, look, I fixed the part with the hoe. It was badly worded. I make it sound like legitimately called her one, and not the fun-loving way we do, and added in the X in front of boyfriends. You're the a-hole for saying she's a hoe. That's an insult, and it's not something you should ever call your friends. Wanting to get it on isn't a bad thing. Having it on with a guy with no intention of having a relationship with him is not a bad thing, assuming everyone here are consenting adults. Look, your advice to your friend to think it through was not wrong. Your slut-shaming is what makes you an a-hole. OP responds, I'm sorry if it came off as insulting. Me and her use the words hoe and slut with each other as a form of affection. It's our thing. She is perfectly fine with it in most situations. It's only when we have talks like these that she suddenly gets hurt by it. Look, your last section was spot on. I just wanted her to think it through with a clear head, especially when it involves a guy who is known to be pushy and have no boundaries when drunk. Some people brought up the issue of it being sexist of him as well, in which I really have to question this. She is literally under the influence of alcohol right now. She is going to get with a guy. Yes, okay, it's her choice to right now, but under the influence. Also with a guy who has, in the past, regarding the story, not really respected boundaries. On top of the fact that she's confided with her friend, who's the OP, that she wants something meaningful with someone and is ashamed of, or is rather guilted towards her hoe phase in life. This just reads so many flags of possible sexual assault in the future. And it reads to me personally that he's just trying to protect her from falling into a case of being assaulted by this guy when she suddenly changes her mind, and he doesn't care anyway because, well, he's drunk too. He doesn't know what he's doing either. I don't know, I guess it depends on how many drinks she's been having and if she's really drunk enough to not be making good decisions. I totally support the idea that women should be allowed to hook up with whoever and how many ever people they want, but I have to say, Natar, I don't think the OP's an a-hole for literally trying to protect their friend. After all, he's just been talking with her through this. He hasn't literally been pulling her away and locking her in her own room. But what do you think? Do you think they have merit? Or is it possible that this guy's just being overprotective and a bit of jealous feud? Maybe he has a bit of an ego about himself because he doesn't drink alcohol and he's not so ridiculously careless in his decisions. I don't know, I'm spitballing ideas here. Let me know. Hey, you, looks like you've made it to the end of another video. Well, thanks for watching. Ooh, Spooktober. Yeah, that's my input. Genuinely, thank you for watching, guys. You're all the best. Know most of you from America, so, g'day. Yeah, if you could like the video as always, and if you are new, please subscribe, join my channel, help me grow this beautiful thing, aside from this bum fluff that is my beard. That won't grow. So, to compensate, grow the channel instead. Again, guys, thank you as always. I'll see you for the next one, and have a good one. Bye-bye.